Welcome to the ECHORIFT Show. I'm Don.
And I'm Mike.
And we are the creators of ECHORIFT Comics.
And tonight we're talking about Doctor Who Season 8, Episode
3.
Yes, Robot of Sherwood.
Yep, so we're starting to do these video-only reviews of Doctor Who episodes because we love Doctor Who, and this season has been fantastic. So this was the third episode. It's the first one where they go back in time, I guess, with Peter Capaldi, right?
Yes, and people are probably saying, why Season 8? And it's because we like old men.
That's right.
We just love old men.
My favorite thing about this episode is this whole season, of course, is going to be the ongoing evolution of this Doctor's persona. But this episode really gets into, he's really arrogant and competitive. And it was really funny. I mean, they run into Robin Hood, and he just sees that as a challenge that this Robin Hood guy exists. And the two of them are just like bickering and trying to one up each other. And it was such a nice, we've seen the Doctor in the various 50 years do things like that, but it's neat that they pick this and the actor pulls it off so well that he never stops being likable. That I could not stop laughing and thinking, not only at what I was seeing on screen, but how funny it is that they decided that they're going to go with this as part of his character.
Well, they fully committed to the comedy in this one. So It wasn't even just Peter Capaldi's performance, but the absurdity of what they were encountering. You know, that they were encountering what appeared to be a real-life version of somebody he knew. In fact, not just somebody, a whole town of people that he knew, the Doctor thought he knew to be fictitious.
Yeah.
So his position is just disbelief the whole time. So yet at the same time, it just made for a perfect comedic episode. I mean, one of the things that they've done so well in the new Doctor Who is the casting of their guest spots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure if I were in England, I would probably recognize some of the actors and actresses that have come on. But the people do these amazing performances in these one shots where they're charismatic and fun and likable, and they could easily become someone that's a part of the cast. And I'm talking mainly about Robin Hood.
Yeah, and the actor reminded me of a cross between, he's real handsome, he reminded me of a cross between Jim Carrey and Carrie Elwes. Really charismatic and really, like you just said, like playing the part as if he's going to be reappearing every week. Like he's the lead of a show and he's playing Robin Hood. And it's just the one character in one episode.
Yeah, his chemistry with the Doctor and with Clara is perfect. I mean, they could have been friends and characters together for all time. It seemed like they were going to be boyfriend and girlfriend. It seemed like the Doctor and he would become old friends, like say Han and Luke.
Yeah.
At first I was thinking I didn't want a funny episode.
Right.
And then it was working so well that it didn't matter.
The other aspect I liked of the show is it was very much like old episodes. I think that you and I think I'd even pulled up, there's an episode of the Peter Davison era called The Visitation, where they're in that sort of same time period, and there's even a rogue in that episode, so I don't even know if they were deliberately paying tribute to something, but the picture of the TARDIS in the middle of the woods, and it's that time period in England. And I really liked that. I mean, the castle and all that stuff. The castle's a spaceship. Reminded me of State of Decay, the Tom Baker episode with the vampires.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, and I just think it's really neat that they had this old time Doctor Who quality to it. Even though the old time Doctor Who episodes were obviously longer and weren't ever as straight up comedic as this one was, I really got a kick out of the way that it was like that without being a boring tribute or some kind of like really self-indulgence callback episode.
I think it was just so much fun. Like when they get to that contest where they're sort of watching as these characters are living out stories from Robin Hood. I mean, Clara knows that it's a trap, that they're going to be invited, and he's going to be the contest to see who's the best archer is a way for the sheriff of Nottingham to find Robin Hood.
Yeah.
That was so much fun to watch them walking into that trap and know that it's, not only is Robin Hood a character. I could watch that episode just about Robin Hood. He was so likable. But not only is Robin Hood there, so is the Doctor.
Yeah, and then that scene, because it did take me by surprise. I mean, I knew the doctor wasn't going to stay hidden long, but Robin has just won, and then the doctor just walks up and plants an arrow into his. The way that the cutting and the splicing or the editing, I guess is the word I'm looking for, of the episode is so funny. Like the comedic effect of him just showing up, and then the two of them competing with one another, and the Sheriff of Nottingham, and the doctor getting fed up and just using his sonic screwdriver to blow everything up, and it basically, it's just, and again, it goes back to him being this sort of cranky, I don't have time for this doctor, that he's just, he's so likable. I like him so much. He's such a great actor, and he's such a great part for Doctor Who.
Well, and the subtext of all of it too, the whole danger of performing well at the contest is that you will reveal yourself to the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Right.
And not only is there one amazing arch, I blew my own joke. There's two. It was so funny that they would. I love when humor. I mean, it's a common thing to do a joke enough times that sort of stops being funny and then becomes funny again. So it hits its crescendo when he blows.
Right.
It was fun. What a good episode.
Another really funny scene is when they're Clara's already been taken away. They're in the dungeon, and Robin Hood and the doctor, first they argue because they're going to do that old gag where one of them pretends to be sick, and the two of them first argue over who's going to pretend to be sick, and Robin decides to be sick, and the doctor is telling the jailer that he's such a coward, he can't control himself, and he thinks he soiled himself, and he's just insulting him, and Robin's like, got to stay, because we've already seen that he doesn't like being insulted, but he's got to stay with the part, and everything about it is just, it's such a fun episode. It's another one of those really good episodes to someone who either wanted to jump back on and get a sense of who this doctor is, or just have a good fun, like say you're a casual viewer that doesn't need to watch every episode in a row. It's just a fun standalone episode.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's much more to say about it. It was good. They did comedy and they did it right. If you do comedy and you do it wrong, it stinks, and so it's a challenge, and they've got the chops to do it in every capacity.
I also love the fact, and it'll be my final note, I love the fact that gold has something to do with robots in this episode, and there's no Cybermen involved. Because as soon as I saw that gold arrow, I was like, oh, this is a Cyberman. And you know that the episode's called Robots of Sherwood. I was like, oh, they snuck a Cybermen episode in here, and it's funny that they didn't, but yet they still used the gold differently. But I got a real kick out of that.
Yeah. Last thing, I would have loved it if that actor that plays the Sheriff of Nottingham had been hired to play the Master.
Yeah, he'd be great.
He looked to me. That's the Master is supposed to always have dark hair and some kind of facial hair going on, and just be a severe classic villain. And I hope that when they cast him again, because it's only a matter of time,
yeah,
we see a guy that looks like the antithesis of the Doctor.
Yeah, and I would like to see this, and you would see the same kind of banter between them, because you did. I mean, the John Pertwee and Roger Delgado days, they would be trapped together and they would banter like that. So that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that, and it's very reminiscent of the Doctor and the Master's relationship back in the late '60s, early '70s. All right, that's that episode. On to the next one, and I hit stop. Yeah, that went well. I don't know how.